If you've always wanted your robot to do something, like stop at a certain time or start after it does something else, then you might need a counter. This video is for you. I want to create a counter because I found that when I was making computer games, I used to always use counters. And counters are handy because you can say when the counter reaches a certain point, then something else can happen. So I'm going to use the extensions down the bottom here and choose the one that says display because I can display a counter on my computer or tablet. Now down here you can go display. Okay, so when the program starts, I'm going to get it to display something on the screen. Now we're going to make my counter first. So we go to variables and we can make a variable and we can call that one counter. And this is just going to count for us. So now a variable is kind of like a number that can change. And you can get your robot to behave differently depending on what that number is. That's as simple as I can explain a variable. So a variable, come up over here and show you what the actual variable is at the moment. At the moment, the variable's set at 0. The counter is set at 0. Every time I start my program, I want the counter to be 0. And I'm going to count up. So the counter will be set at 0. And I want it to be displayed on the screen as well. So I can put this little pill counter inside there and it will display the counter on the screen down here somewhere. It's also over here, but I can hide that. At the moment, the counter's not going to count because it's just set to 0. So if I press play now, it's just going to display the counter as 0. Okay. But I want it to add to it. Every second we can make it count by seconds. We're going to set the counter to whatever the counter is plus 1. So we go back here. And we're going to say to do that every second. So wait 1 second and then set the counter to the counter plus 1. And we'll also put right counter in there. We're going to put this inside a loop so it repeats forever. So at the start, it's going to set the counter to 0. Then it's going to wait a second, and then it's going to set the counter to whatever the counter is plus 1. And it'll write that on the screen. And then it'll wait 1 second, set the counter to whatever it is plus another 1. Then plus another 1, then plus another 1, and see how that works. So now you'll see that it's counting down the bottom by seconds. So that's pretty handy to have a counter because you could now say something like, I like to use the when block here, the smallest events block there called when. And you could say when the counter equals something, do something. So let's say when the counter equals, say, 3. I'm going to put the counter in there. Then you can get it to play a sound perhaps. Let's go sound and we'll go cat meowing. So now it's going to start from 0 when I press play, and when it gets to 3 it's going to play a sound. 1, 2. Okay. Or you could say something completely different to that. You could rely on a sensor to add to your counter. So instead of having it go up every second, you could say, let's choose one of these ones over here. When B is pressed, we're going to duplicate this. Okay. So whenever B is pressed, we're going to set the counter to whatever it is plus 1, and we'll write on the screen. But we're still going to wait a second because otherwise, well, let's just see what happens if I don't wait a second. All right, let's press play. On my robot, I'm going to press the button. It's going to go crazy because it keeps adding 1 every time the button's pressed. And it goes on forever. So it's good to say wait 1 second in here so that it waits a second, at least a second between the buttons being pressed. Oh, it's going up by 3. It's still going up forever. I know why. It's because it's looping. Okay, we'll get the loop out of there. And we'll try it again. Press it once, it goes to 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time I press the button, it'll go up by 1. As long as there's a second between the button presses. Pretty cool. Okay, so you could say, for example, if the robot was trying to get through a maze, if the counter value is less than 3, then turn left every time it hits a button. But if it's more than 3, turn right. Or if it equals 5, turn left. Or if it equals 7, turn right. So you could have different options for when the button is pressed relating to the counter. It doesn't have to be on a timer. Okay, but I've found that counters are pretty handy because you could use them to do things like navigating mazes, or just if it needs to do something at a particular time but not at other times. So you might say, if the distance sensor sees a wall and the counter is greater than 10 seconds, then turn right. Otherwise, just keep going, or otherwise reverse. So there's lots of things you can do with a counter. So I've got 3 stacks here, all doing something different. This one sets the counter to 0 and writes it over here. I forgot to put this in here before. It writes this to 0 every time the program starts. But when the button is pressed, it still writes it, but it adds 1 to the counter. And when it gets to 3, it's going to meow like a cat. And you could even have other stacks as well. Sometimes I like to have this one, wait until. So we could say wait until counter equals 5, and then do something else. Maybe display something on the screen, or activate another motor, or we'll just make another sound just for now. Let's make it do some music when it gets to 5. Okay, here we go. So hopefully it's going to make a meow when it gets to 3 and then start doing some music when it gets to 5. But it's not going to change unless I press the button. So it sets it to 0 to start with. Press the button once, a 1 comes up. Press it again, 2 comes up. Press it again, it meows. Then it says 4, and when it hits 5, the music should start. Yeah, now we're cooking with gas. So you can see how useful it would be to have a counter to do certain things at certain times, especially when it comes to activating motors. You could time things perfectly, so one motor doesn't get activated until the button's been pressed a certain number of times or something like that.